Hey guys, Ray from Haloview RV and Boat. So I'm back with a longer term update on this Haloview BT7 rear monitor for the RV. I guess it was late October I installed it and showed you the install process and everything, and we went through all its features. And I said I'd come back after a couple months of use as we made our way down south to the Arizona desert from British Columbia, a couple thousand miles. So right now it's just showing the view and the behind our campsite. I'll have some footage that I took along the way. Couple things that have changed is they added this to it. I put a little update video a little while ago, but if you didn't know, they've added an overlay now because this is a model that has a rear view camera, but it also is a tire pressure monitor system all in one. So I have it hooked up with 8 sensors on my truck and the trailer, and you can see this overview will cycle through it. Prior to that, you had to go to this screen to look at your temperature and pressure on each tire. It would still come up with a warning if you had low pressure, or high temperature. But I said it would be nice if we'd be able to see an overlay, and they were kind enough to do a firmware update. Probably the newer models will have that. If you don't want that cluttering up the screen, you can turn it off. They put in the thing to turn it on and off. So how's it performed? Great. No issues for me. One thing I had to do that I didn't do when I first installed it was I had to put the second extender. Now this came with 2 signal extenders for the tire sensors. For really long trailers. So I tried it with one, and the rear axle was still being kind of flaky. 6 tires would be very solid, but the last 2 would kind of cut in and out sometimes. So I went and installed the second sensor, used some power that I had near the axle for a tank valve that had needed power. So I just tapped into that. They're very, very low current, so I just leave them on all the time. I didn't bother putting a switch on them or anything. I just put a fuse in line. And so I have 2 of them under the trailer, and they've been solid ever since I did that. No cutting out, and always reports all the tires. Sometimes the picture on this will get a little pixelated, especially when I get at speed. It could be that the signal strength might be a little weak for me. As far as the picture goes. I could always add an extra extender antenna on the roof, but it's good enough for me. I'm not too worried about it. You'll see in the footage where it sometimes kind of pixelates. Occasionally in a city environment, if there's a lot of Wi-Fi noise, like a lot of wireless stuff going on, it'll black out briefly for maybe a second or 2 and then come right back. You could be getting very close to another vehicle that's got something that's interfering with the signal. Also, they say to have the antennas straight up and down, but in my install, I don't like it on the dash. I like it mounted to my mirrors, so I usually have the antennas like this, sticking sideways, so that kind of loses a bit of signal strength too. So not really a fair review that way, but I just like to have it tucked up on the mirror, so I have not much clearance on my RAM above my mirror. So I've actually I ordered and installed these 90-degree connectors just to give me even more space there, so I can get it right tucked up in there. And then on the back, I have the mirror mount. The mirror mount you can get as an optional accessory, and it screws onto the back here. Usually comes with some rubber kind of band straps, but my Ram truck mirror is very thick, so I'm using some Velcro straps, and that's worked very well for me. Doesn't take too much power. It's powered by USB, so I have it plugged into a USB outlet in my truck, and it's worked really well that way. Recordings have done fine. It records, you can see here, it records the signals coming in. I just have one camera, so it just records that for me. I have had a little trouble sometimes, not with playback, but more when I'm doing my editing for videos. The recording type of codec they use is called HEVC1, I believe, and my Windows computer doesn't really have the proper codec, so sometimes when I'm editing it's a little chore but most people won't have to do that. You can actually play back the videos right on the screen here, or it might work fine in a Mac, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll have some footage for you. It's really nice to have that embedded in the screen. Then I one less thing on the dash. This is what I used before. It's a Guta tire monitor, and it worked very well. I used it for a couple of years. So this has replaced that. There we go. So it's not going to sync up to anything, but you can see it's very similar actually. Kind of same sort of diagram comes on there, and it kind of does the same thing, flashes between points and reports the temperature. So it works almost identical to that. So I have reviewed that in the past. This company contacted me recently, and they have a different model. So there'll be a review upcoming about that one. So look forward to that in the weeks to come, just because a lot of people might not want to go with this type of system and might want to know about these separate units. And I'll probably do a test with it as well. Maybe use it on the trailer tires and keep using this one on the truck. Anyway, let's get to the footage. Okay, so keep in mind this is a recording and it's been edited a bit. What you'll see in the screen is better than this, but this is still pretty good. This is your typical scene going down a multi-lane road, and this is where this camera really comes in handy. It's got quite a wide view, so you can see what's going on across all the lanes. This will look weird to you because it's being used as a rear view mirror, so the image has been flipped. The writing will be backwards. It'll seem to you like I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, but it makes sense when you're looking at a rear view mirror that it should look like this. Then the cars come up the right side of the RV. If you have it where you're looking straight back, then you'll be really confused, trust me. Anyway, pretty good. We're cruising along a street in Victoria. It's a little bit cloud covered a bit, a little bit of sun coming through, fairly bright day. The colors are good. Everything, the motion is good. I'm going not very fast in these videos. This video clip maybe cruising along like at about 30 miles an hour, 50 kilometers. So I'll just let it go a bit so you can see. Now we're in night scene because people always ask me. I've sped the video up, obviously, but the headlights do blow things out quite a bit when they get really close to you. And here's another night scene pulling into a casino. Same thing, I've sped it up. But this is kind of overhead lighting, night scene for you. It's pretty good. You can definitely tell what's going on behind you. You can see when you go through little darker areas. It's not quite as good as lights being overhead. Okay, so now we're down in the desert. Now I found they've improved their dynamic range quite a bit with these new camera systems. The older ones I kind of complained, especially in super bright desert sunshine like California, Arizona. The highlights would be quite blown out, but they seem to have solved the issues by kind of tuning their cameras a little better for bright scenes, and they still work in the dark scenes, as you can see. So that's called dynamic range, and they have pretty good dynamic range, these cameras. I got one other thing to report to do with the actual rear camera here. Just get up and show you. So the way I have mine powered is I have a junction box up here that was installed for a cell booster, so I grab power out of it and it comes down to the camera. Now I found after I had been in British Columbia a couple weeks, and then we spent a couple weeks on the Oregon coast, the camera saw a lot of rain, cold, wet weather, torrential rain at times, and even when you're driving, lots of rain. And when I got to California and we got into some warm sunshine, the lens started to get a little bit of a fog in it. So obviously some moisture got inside the camera somehow. It only lasted for a few days and was starting to clear up again, but I told Haloview about it, and they had me send the camera back so their engineers could look at it and see what may have happened. They sent me out a new replacement camera. So that was sort of a bad thing. It might have cleared up, I don't know, if people not using it in wet environments. May not have been a problem. Maybe it was a dead camera. Or one other thing it could have been is, because I had it on the roof power, I came down through the hole here, and I forgot to seal. There's a small hole where the cord would go through. And you know, when water's pooling, it likes to run down a cord. So I might have had a lot of water running right into the back of the camera there. So this one, I came down and put a drip loop on it. Brought it down here and looped and went through the bottom. Most people are going to use their marker light, or sometimes they'll have an already pre-wired system. A lot of RVs will have a pre-wired camera thing, and you put it on and you just plug in a cord in the back. Or they come up from the bottom, so they may not run into that issue. Anyway, I thought I'd mention it because it's something that did go wrong. Anyway, I'm going to be using it going forward. And the rest of the trip here, we still got about 3 or 4 months to go. So if anything goes wrong or there are any problems, I'll let you know. Till next time, Ray from Haloview RV and Boat. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers, folks.